One thing I've noticed with companies, especially startups, is that they want to see results immediately. Like they want literal magic from their salespeople without putting in the effort that it requires to set their sales team up for success. And honestly, it's frustrating. In this video, we will explore various ways in which brands set up their sales team for failure.
Unrealistic expectations.
While I am no finance expert, but common sense tells me when you are setting up a business, you should have a budget to be able to pay your employees for at least 6 months since you are not yet raking in profits from your business. So why then do salespeople get statements that sound like threats? Statement like you have to earn your keep or you have to start paying yourself salaries. Especially since they are still trying to settle into the business, they're still trying to gather product knowledge, customer knowledge, market knowledge. So excuse me, isn't it your responsibility to set up the business for success? How do you expect the salespeople to perform miracles when you haven't even laid the groundwork? There is no solid foundation for them to be able to stand on and perform such miracles as you wish. The brand visibility problem. You have no physical store or a physical office address, or even if you do have a physical office address, your location is far from where your target audience are, and yet you do not have a budget for advertising. How will people find you? Even if your salespeople do their best to market your product, we live in an era where everything is checked online. The moment a salesperson is talking to a potential client, they are checking to see if you have an online presence. So, as a business, do you have a professional social media page? Do you have an attractive and easy to navigate website? Or do you have any form of brand credibility online? Because people will check. Believe me, when your salespeople are done with their pitch and all, people will always go back online to check what if there is any negative or positive review from people about you online, even if they don't find reviews, but at least they will go to your website, they will want to peruse the website to get the feeling of trust because they are trying desperately to trust your brand. So even if your sales team were to put honey on their lips and talk, if you do not have an online presence, there is a high chance that you could lose your lead simply to that.
Transportation and presentation.
You open a high-class business, you run a luxury service, and your salespeople are jumping bus after bus to get to their destination, to get to see their clients. And by the time they get there, they are tired, they are struggling, they are sweating. And the client sees them sweating, and this is somebody who is here to present you with something high class. And the person comes and sweating and still trying to orientate themselves to the environment. How do your salespeople pitch or negotiate after they just fought with conductor because of their change? Some companies say, oh, we're going to give you transport allowance, and then they give you a transport allowance and they tell you it's for you to get private taxis like Uber, Bolt. It's for you to transport yourself down to the destination. But deep down, they know that amount they gave you is not, if you were truly going to be using ride-hailing services, that amount they gave you is not going to even last for a week because they have visitation targets, you have financial targets, you have other targets, KPIs you're looking at. So that money they gave you that is supposed to last you for a month, if you decide to actually start using ride-hailing services like Uber and then Bolt, you know that money will not last a week. And then some companies gloss it over with, if the money is not enough, you can always come back to finance and ask them for more, and then we'll give you more. But we know that if the salespeople actually come back to ask for more money, they're going to nitpick on how they spent that money. So because of that, they do not want to go through that hassle of having to answer questions upon questions upon questions on how they use their transportation fare. So they would rather try to cut costs by entering commercial transports where they can and then entering private transport where they can. That also translates to their appearance. You are selling luxury items or high class items, and your salespeople look like they have not eaten for that day. You pay them peanuts and you expect them to bring in millions for you. Now, if you are a client, you'll agree with me that when somebody comes to sell you something, people actually buy a person before they buy the product. And that's true. I'm a salesperson. I know how my dressing usually translates to how I'm treated in a place, and I know that very well. So if I'm going to sell something of millions to a client, I need to look the parts. I need to dress the parts. I need to appear the part. I need to appear like I have something of 10 million to sell to you. You have to be seeing it on my body that yes, this person is capable of selling something of 10 million. She should have something of 10 million in her possession. But if I were to come in looking anyhow and I tell you I have something of 10 million, you'd first of all look me up and down. So is that the kind of attitude you want your salespeople to go through whenever they go to a client's place to pitch a product? Remember, there is a popular saying that the way you're dressed is the way you are addressed. Even if they dress well, let's say I put on a white shirt, I'm looking smart in the office. By the time I'm leaving the office and dropping my commercial transport and then something stains me or dust pours on my leg, by the time I get to my client's place, I won't be looking as sharp as I was in the office. It has affected my dressing. It will affect my confidence. It will affect the way people perceive me, and it ultimately affects the way people perceive your brand, because I'm there to represent your brand. I'm the sales reps for your brand. And the way they look at me is the image they will have of the brand in their head. You see you see brands that are big, that have made it big. Look at their sales reps. How do they look? They have a certain way they look, right? About training, or rather, the lack of training. You want eloquent salespeople, but you do not invest in their training. You hand them a brochure and you expect them to read it, cram it, and overnight they are able to present it to people. Some salespeople sell equipment, they sell services, they sell products that they don't even get to come across at all throughout their duration there. Maybe because the product is something that the office cannot house because it's expensive or it's too big to keep, and you are expected to sell a product to someone, a product you have not seen with your two naked eyes, you've not been able to touch, you've not been able to use, you've not felt it. You're expected to sell it to somebody by just reading about it from a brochure. How do you expect them to sell a dream that they have zero experience with it? You may design a pitch in the office based on what you all know of the products in the office, and when you go into the real world, you find out that that pitch is not really having the impact you want it to have, or that product is not having the impact you want it to have. And salespeople being on the field, they come back to you with this feedback, with the concerns, with the questions they have based on their interaction with clients, other salespeople, other companies, and whoever they meet on the field. They come with you with those questions, those feedbacks, or real insights that could help improve your sales process. You take forever to answer them. You are being sluggish about giving them the support that they need. You do know that for every lead that your salesperson has, there are about 3 to 5 other companies or salespeople chasing that particular lead that your salesperson has, and time is of utmost importance. So now that we've talked about how companies and brands set up their salespeople for failure, we have to look for a solution. And that solution is investing in your salespeople.
Your sales representative represents the company, represents the brand, and the way they are perceived is automatically the way your brand is perceived. And if you want your salespeople to be perceived in the same light as you want your brand to be perceived, you need to, first of all, people who know how to go about things on their own, even with little or no supervision, and also at the same time teachable so that they can learn what you want them to learn. Product knowledge is important to sales. For you to call yourself a salesperson, it means that you are selling a product that you are very familiar with and you can convince others that that product is the right product for them. But if you do not have proper product knowledge, you cannot convince others otherwise. So you have to upskill them on the skills that they already come with. They're quite all right. You would have done an interview, they have some skill sets, but you still need to upskill them to make sure that that skill remains and even upskills. At the same time, training them, giving them proper product knowledge training. Pay them well enough to dress the parts and command respect. You want your product to be respected. You want people to see representatives from your company and they have respect for them. That is it. So they can get to their destination on time and in the right state of mind. Stop expecting your salespeople to be magicians. You can't plant a cucumber and expect to harvest a watermelon. If you're pinching pennies on your sales team, there's every likelihood that you're losing millions in revenue. Invest in your sales team, and they will in turn invest in the success of the company. So thank you for watching. Until next time.